Welcome, class. Welcome to Unit 3.1, the coordinate plane. So a quick review of some of these things, talking about the coordinate plane. That is just your plane that is divided into 4 regions used for graphing. When we talk about the ordered pairs, which consists of everything on the coordinate plane, these are where you're looking and focusing on a point X and Y. So when you're looking at them, whatever letter always comes first, or number, that will be your X value, and whatever number is second in that ordered pair always becomes your Y value. So let's take a look at a few of this. So when you're looking at the parts of the coordinate plane, it consists of an x-axis and a y-axis, where you'll see that the x-axis is the horizontal axis on a coordinate plane. So that's going to make this horizontal your x, while the y-axis is going to be the vertical axis, so that's going to be your up and down. So there you have your x and y axis. As these two kind of intersect, one of those things here in the middle, that is going to be called your origin point, which that one there is going to have a value of 0, 0. Also with these quadrants, that's what they're broken up into. Your quadrants are 4 regions into which this plane is divided. So when we look at these up in this right corner, this is going to start with quadrant 1, where we're typically going to end up seeing these with Roman numerals. And it kind of counts counterclockwise, a little bit opposite of what we're doing. But we're going with quadrant 1. As we count to the left, that's 2. When you work down here, that'd be quadrant 3. And then our last one, quadrant 4. Now, the last thing we want to talk about in each of these quadrants, because we know all of these values are like x, y, you know that this ordered pair x, y. Same thing for all 4 of these quadrants. But the key here is when we look in quadrant 4, all of our x values over here to the right, they're all going to be positive. Same thing going up, all of your y values should be positive. So everything in quadrant 1 should be positive values. Now a little bit different when we look at quadrant 2, and we go to our x values to the left, they're all negative. But again, if we are going up on our y-axis, we're going to end up with positive. So let's take a look at those last 2. Going to the left, your x values are negative, and your y values going down are going to be negative. Notice I'm reading all of these x first, y second. So the last one with quadrant 4, if you're looking at x to the right, that's going to be going positive. And if your y is going down, that again is going to be a negative value. So just a little something to look for as you identify and graph points on a coordinate plane. Okay, so let's take a look at graphing the following points on the given grid or on your coordinate plane. So if we look at A, we're going 3, 4. The big thing to remember is always do x first, always do y second. So if we're going to go over to x is 3, that's going to kind of take us out here. And then we're going to trace up to 4. So this is what we would call our A value, 3, 4. If we look at point B, let's do that in blue. So if we're going to look at negative 1, 4, that's an x and that's a y. So first thing we want to do is kind of trace over here to negative 1, but then we want to go up 4, positive 4, and call that point B. Let's take a look at 2 more. We can look at 4, negative 2. So again, if we're looking at positive, looking at our x value first, that is going to be a 4. And then we're going negative 2. And we can call that C. And when we look at our last one here with D, negative 5, negative 4, that means let's go over to negative 5. left first, and then down to -4. That's D. Just a little reminder here when we look at some of those ones with zeros. Anything that would end up on your x-axis, points on there. What that's going to mean is you're going to have some number telling you going left and right, but that's going to make your y value 0, because if you trace that back to your y-axis, that goes back to a y0. Likely, if you're going to find anything up and down your y-axis, this is where you're looking left and right, and your x is 0, but then your y value is going to be some number, whether it's positive or negative. Just a little reminder as you graph through. So please take a minute to pause and finish filling out the rest of this graph. Okay, we got looking through here, starting with E. We got up here E, F, G, H, I, and J. All right, let's take a look at the next example. Okay, example 2 is having us state the coordinates of each point. So when we look at these, we're looking for point A first, so that's up here. And what we're kind of looking at is, remember, we are looking at your x and y values. So if we look over here, look for your x value first. So if we trace down, looks like our x is going to be a 7. And if we trace over to our y-axis, looks like that's going to be a 10. So our first point is going to be 7, 10. If we look at point B, all right, so if we trace down to your x value, well, trace down to x, that's going to be a 0. And if we go up, that is going to be a y value of 4. All right, if we look at C, that's going up here now. And again, if you look at your x value first, trace down to a -1, and that trace over to a y value of 10. So again, remember, all of your coordinates should always have the x value first, y value second. Please pause and identify the rest of these before you check your work. All right, thank you. Okay, pause here and make sure you got all of these right. The only one it looks like we may have forgotten in there was J, which we can do real quick, is going to be a 7 for your x value and a -9 for your y value. Okay, that's it as far as our notes go. Make sure you take time to look into your Canvas course and complete those other couple worksheets to kind of just review and get used to the coordinate plane and identifying, graphing, and all of that stuff. So, good luck.